Hey guys, Your Welcome is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Let's face it, sometimes multitasking can be overwhelming. Like when your favorite podcast is playing and the person next to you is talking and your car fan is blasting, all while you're trying to find the perfect parking spot. But then again, sometimes multitasking is easy, like quoting with Progressive Insurance. They do the hard work of compare rates so you can find a great rate that works for you, even if it's not with them. Give their nifty comparison tool a try. You might just find getting the rate and coverage you deserve is easy. All you need to do is visit Progressive's website to get a quote with all the coverages you want, like comprehensive and collision coverage or personal injury protection. Then you'll see Progressive's direct rate, and their tool will provide options from other companies all lined up and ready to compare. So it's simple to choose the rate and coverages you like. Press play on comparing auto rates, quote at progressive.com to join the over 27 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy. Folks, bodyguards, cases, and screens protect your phone so you don't have to worry. Your entire life's on your phone. Use it to plan your summer vacation, listen to podcasts, connect the world. That's why it's so important to keep them safe. You need a case and screen protector protection. Bodyguards is proving that cases don't have to be big and bulky to be protective. They're designed by the bodyguards team in the U.S. They're built for both protection and style. They're engineered to protect your phone from 8, 10, 12-foot drops, slim, pocket-friendly. Tons of colors and styles to choose from. Remember, when a screen protector breaks, it's saving your phone. Bodyguards knows this, so they offer free replacements. You only pay shipping. When you buy from Bodyguards, a portion of your purchase supports a charity foundation called Relief Haven, which gives back to the local community as well as abroad to help children in Africa escape child labor. That's wonderful. Go to bodyguards.com/welcome to protect your phone today. That's bodyguards with a Z at the end, .com/welcome to start protecting your valuable phone today. Good afternoon, Michael Malice here. Let that be your welcome for the next hour. We have with us an extremely special guest, Kari Lake, who is currently the Republican frontrunner for the nomination for Arizona governor. For people who don't know, there are, I think, 35 or 36 gubernatorial contests in the midterm elections. That means 72 candidates. There's been very few who have achieved national attention. I know someone's running against Gavin Newsom, can't name who. Kate Brown is governor of Oregon, lowest approval ratings of any governor. Republicans have a shot. Can't name her opponent. I know someone's running against Kathy Hochul in New York, my native New York. Can't name her opponent. But we have Kari Lake, who's making waves. And one of the big reasons you're making waves is you have been using social media in a very effective way to get your message across. And we're going to get to that in a second. But the very first question, the very obvious question is, why do you want to be governor of Arizona?
Well, initially, I had no interest in getting into politics. I'll be honest. I had a 30-year successful career in broadcast journalism. I was an honest journalist, and I walked away during COVID and after that botched election. I just no longer wanted to put out anything that wasn't 100% truthful. And I was seeing how the corporate media was becoming just complete propaganda. Yeah. Even the supposed good guys. There are no good guys. And so I walked away from a huge paycheck. I'm known by 90% of the people in Arizona knew my name after a 27-year career here. And I just walked away and said, I would rather do anything else than lie to the people of Arizona. Well, after that, the people of Arizona reached out and said, we want you to run for office. Please run for office. We need someone who understands Arizona, who understands the people. We need an outsider with integrity. And it's so many people reaching out, asking me that I decided to look into it and consider it. And that's why I'm running. We are heading in the wrong direction. We have the most important state in the country, a border state that is right now in the hands of a rhino globalist. He's trying to hand the baton off to one of his rhino globalist friends. And if I didn't get in there as a America First Republican who cares about this country, we would have this state in the hands of a rhino globalist or a socialist. And I'm not willing to let Arizona fall to one of those two people. We have to save Arizona. It's a border state, and we have to make sure we have honest elections. So that's why I'm running. I don't want to have to load up a U-Haul, put my family in it, load up my belongings, and search for a red state. We're going to fight for Arizona.
That's exactly what I did last August. I was a lifelong New York resident. I still don't know how to drive. And now I'm proud to be living here in Austin because they made it so inhospitable to me and pretty much my entire friend group that I'm like, I just can't take this anymore. Like, this is just not a situation fit for living. And I'm sorry to hear that's happening in Arizona as well. Let me talk to you about your use of social media. You have the Kari Lake War Room on Twitter. Many of your clips have gone viral. You clipped them and very cleverly. A lot of people are seeing them, which is kind of free advertising for who you are and what you stand for. I'm thinking specifically of when a CNN reporter tried to get you outside an event, asked for an interview. You said, well, can we do this interview on CNN Plus? Oh, I guess we can't because people are sick of your propaganda. Can you explain how social media has been fueling the success of your campaign?
I think it's my 30-year broadcast career. I understand how the media works. And so I record all of my interactions with them. And then we use my ability to reach people on social media to get those interactions out, to expose how corrupt the media is and how they twist and turn everything. If you look me up on the internet, it's just one hit piece after the next, after the next. We have a sick cabal in the media that is dead set on trying to stop the America First movement, because I believe they're in on trying to destroy America. One of the most dangerous entities out there is the media, and they're trying to destroy this country. And I just call them out on it. We use our social media to make sure we get the clips out and wake people up to what's really happening. So I've got a great team around me, and I also understand the people of Arizona, and there's a connection that I've made over many, many years here.
In that vein, there was a hit piece against you today from the Associated Press. They quoted your opponent. They quoted people who think you're terrible. There was no mention of a quote from you or even an attempt from them to reach your campaign, and that your campaign declined to comment. Did they, in fact, bother contacting you for an interview?
That's interesting because somebody from the AP showed up at an event in Tucson, and I've put the entire interaction I had with the media that swarmed me at the end of our rally. We filled the place in liberal Tucson. We filled the place with supporters, and I'm surprised they didn't put any of our sound. The problem for them is I'm a very reasonable person. I'm a very in control person. My policies are amazing policies that will put the people of Arizona first. And they probably didn't find the quote that they needed. They're trying to paint me as somebody who's kooky or crazy. And they didn't find the quote they needed, so they just left it out altogether. I challenge your listeners to go to my Rumble page, Kari Lake, Karilake, and you can see the first interview that I did was with somebody from the AP, and you can see exactly what I told the reporter. And I guess I'm not surprised he didn't use anything. It's disappointing, but I gave him plenty to work with.
Let's take a change from how the media works and talk about the actual issues. So with the overturning of Roe v. Wade, obviously abortion is now a state by state issue. What is your position if you're governor of Arizona on how you would handle that issue?
Well, we have a law in the books that will take precedence, and it will be we will not be an abortion state. I am pro-life 100%. I'm the youngest of a family of 9, and I'm so glad that my mom chose life with each and every one of us. And I think for a long time, the radicals on the left have been pushing an agenda and convincing our young people that the taking of the life of the most innocent life, the unborn, is healthcare. And they've been talking to our young people and convincing them that it's healthcare and really brainwashing them. What we need to do, though, as Republicans and as Americans, is support women who find themselves pregnant and they're afraid. They walk into, the way it has been for the last nearly 50 years, they walk into a Planned Parenthood afraid, pregnant, they don't know what to do. And the people at Planned Parenthood give them only one option, and it is the absolute worst option possible: the killing of their own baby inside their womb. And so we need to reach out to these women. We need to help them and make sure that they have support so that they know they can be the mother that God intended them to be. Or if they choose not to do that, we can find them a loving family that will take that baby and raise that baby. I have so many friends who have adopted. I have friends who are adopted. And I think we can do better as a society when we protect our unborn.
One of the things that has pushed me toward the pro-life camp is all these kind of celebrity women shouting their abortion, talking about how great it is, how this is a sense of freedom. And the people who I'm thinking about in those moments are all the parents, several of whom I know, or excuse me, couples who are desperate to have a child, who have tried, to move heaven and earth to get pregnant. For some reason or other, they've been unable to. And you're kind of rubbing it in their face, like, look, it's been so easy for me, where it's heartbreaking. And I think those, in some ways, are the people who are forgotten by this whole exchange that's just completely, insensitive to concerns which affect so many aspiring
Yeah.
moms and dads in America.
And I think about those people putting those videos together, and they're so angry, and I'm sad for them, because somewhere along the way they've gotten brainwashed into thinking that it's okay to take the life of the most innocent among us. If we do not value that life, then what life is valuable? What life is valuable? And you're right. There's so many people out there who would gladly raise a baby. If somebody chose to have that baby, they would gladly raise that baby and love that baby and give that child the best life. I have many friends who are adopted. One of my friends recently found out that he was conceived out of rape, and he had no idea. He found out a few years ago. He's one of the most amazing human beings ever. And I'm so glad. The world is such a better place that he's in it. And I'm so glad he's in this world. Each and every one of us deserves life. And it's not a choice that somebody gets to make to take that life. That's not a medical choice.
One of the things Clarence Thomas mentioned in his decision was the Obergefell decision, which mandated gay marriage being the law of the land in all 50 states. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who I'm sure you're an enormous fan of, grabbed onto this and mentioned that, they're coming for us next. Do you regard gay marriage as a settled issue, or is this something, if that decision were overturned, you would seek to reverse on a state level?
You know what? I haven't even given that thought. I mean, I feel that is law, and I support our gay and lesbian friends. I don't think that that's something we're taking up right now. I think they're reading into what Clarence Thomas said. And we have so many huge issues facing us in Arizona. I'm going to be honest, that's not anywhere near
Yeah.
the top of the list. I feel that it's pretty settled. I want to take on some of the issues that are affecting every single man, woman, and child in Arizona. And that is our wide open border,
Yep.
our weak governor right now, and an incredibly weak, illegitimate president who's doing nothing to protect the people of Arizona. We've got the cartels with operational control of our border. We've got drugs pouring in, killing our young people in record numbers. And we have people that are being smuggled across the border into a life of indentured servitude, and also taking the jobs of American citizens and driving down our wages. And also on top of that, we have an election system that is corrupt. So we got a lot of problems, and I'm really trying to focus on the ones that I can have an effect on.
Yeah, that leads me to the next question, which is Governor Ducey signed what seems to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest, school choice legislation in any of the 50 states. Are you an advocate of school choice, and what are your views as to what's happening in education in 2022 America?
I'm really thrilled with that legislation. I want to give credit where credit is due to the hardworking men and women in our state legislature who worked for that, for the moms and dads who've been for decades pushing for that. We have such a great opportunity here in Arizona to make sure our kids get a great education, because now we have choice. So I'm 100% for that. I'd like to expand it a little further when we're in office next year. And we want educational freedom. We want people to be able to break away from schools that are not serving them well, and find a school where their child can get a good education. My education plan calls for a dual path education, where after 10th grade, you can decide, hey, I want to head 4-year college, or I want to head and get certification, a trade school training, vocational training, and get out of high school ready to take on the thousands upon thousands of high-paying jobs that are available right now to our young men and women, our young people who are 18 and ready to go.
One of the things you just touched on earlier, Arizona is obviously a border state. Immigration and illegal immigration is obviously an enormous issue in Arizona. Can you discuss your plan on what a Governor Lake system would look like regarding immigration?
We have the most bold, aggressive plan to take on the situation at the border and secure the border. President Trump obviously had it under control, and then Joe Biden tore away that policy that was working. So on day one, I will issue a declaration of invasion. We're going to send our Arizona National Guard to the border and stop people from coming across. Right now, the Border Patrol is unfortunately helpless because they're under the control of Joe Biden, and they're just bringing people and processing them. We're not going to process people and take them in anymore. We're going to send them back, not let them come in. And we're going to stop the cartels from sending the drugs over. We will actually blow up the drug tunnels. And frankly, I don't give a damn if there's a narco terrorist inside those drug tunnels when we blow them up. These people are trafficking weapons of mass destruction. These drugs are sent over here not to give people a high, but to kill America and our young people. And I will not sit by as a governor and watch parents mourn the loss of their 19-year-old sons and their 22-year-old daughters who got poisoned with fentanyl, that our governor right now is sitting there allowing to come in to our country. We have a weak governor. He's a very unpopular governor by the name of Doug Ducey. He's been sitting here since Joe Biden took office. He's been a doormat to the cartels, and that stops in January of 2023 when I take office. And I want to warn the cartels right now, your days are numbered. We're taking back control of our border, and you are out. You're going to have to find another way to get your drugs in here.
Another issue that recently came down from the Supreme Court was further strengthening Second Amendment protections in terms of American citizens' rights to be able to defend themselves and their families. Are you in favor of banning so-called assault weapons or things like that at the state level? What's your position on this issue?
Shall not be infringed is pretty basic stuff. No, I'm not for adding any gun laws that would take away the rights, the Second Amendment rights of American citizens. We need our Second Amendment now more than ever. Right now, we're teetering on losing this country, and I'm sure that your listeners realize that. I used to say we're in the 11th hour of losing our country. We're in the final minutes. That's why I'm in this. Why would I turn my life upside down? I had a beautiful life. I jumped in this because I didn't see anybody who cared about our Constitution, who could get us past the finish line and stop the socialists and the globalists. And that's why I'm in this. And we will not have our rights taken away. We will not have our Constitution shredded by these people. The only thing keeping us a country right now is our Second Amendment. They're going after everything else. And they're trying to go after our guns and disarm us and make sure that we are sitting ducks. And this is why I've got to beat my opponent here in the primary. She's a rhino, a liberal rhino. She expanded gun-free zones all over Arizona. She voted pro-abortion. She voted to give illegal immigrants tuition that's lower than American students. And she's married to a 95-year-old billionaire trying to buy this election by lying about her true record. I encourage your listeners to go to karilake.com, KARILAKE.com, and see her true record in black and white, her voting record when Ducey appointed her to the Board of Regents. She's one of the people who turned our universities into woke indoctrination factories. And we're going to take it back and we're going to change it. But we got to have every Arizona go out there and vote like our lives depend on it, because truly it does. And we're watching the swamp creatures come out of the woodwork right now, and they're surrounding this inept candidate that I'm running against, who has never been ahead of me in the polls. And now she's lying and trying to act like she's ahead in the polls, which is laughable. She can't draw a crowd in a living room, let alone the crowds that we're drawing. Everywhere we go, record crowds. People are with us. We have a movement, and the deep state and the swamp are scared to death of us. And we're coming for them. And we're going to push them out of power because we, the people, are taking this government back. And I'm going to be the candidate that helps make that happen.
Guys, I'm really happy to promote Fume, which is one of the best mechanisms out there to help you quit smoking and help you quit vaping. What is Fume? Fume is a natural inhaler designed for a better, safer way to quit cigarettes. There's no smoke. There's no vape. It's made out of wood, Canadian maple, and they use these cores infused with plant oils that are studied to help curb cravings. It helps you replace that hand-to-mouth motion that so many smokers are addicted to. That ritual is part of the addiction, and it makes it harder to quit cold turkey. Fume helps with the quitting process, and they have support beyond quitting with over a dozen cores for relaxation, for energy, and more. Think about how much money you're spending on cigarettes. Think about how much your clothes smell, what it does to your teeth, what it does to your health. Fume helps you with all that, and I'm very, very happy to be able to promote them. All you got to do is go to breathefume.com, breathefum.com/malice, and use code malice. You get 10% off. This is a great way to get your health back in order. They were from Canada, and they've helped over 50,000 customers around the world. You owe it to yourself and to your family to find a replacement for smoking that will make it easy to stick to not wasting money on that awful, awful tobacco. Quit naturally with Fume and use Malice to save 10% at breathefume.com/malice. And you'll be thanking me, I promise. Folks, your health is being bought and sold to the highest bidder. Lobbyists are fighting to make sure they don't have competition and you won't have options. That's where Crowd Health comes in. Crowd Health helps put your healthcare decisions back in your hands, saving you money and cutting out the middleman. It's not insurance. It's what insurance should be. And that's why it works. There's no deductibles. There's no networks. There's no copays. You see any doctor you want. You pay the first $500 and you submit any bills from there. The Crowd Health community takes care of the rest. It's a new way to pay for healthcare without premiums or deductibles or surprises. All you got to do is you pay one low monthly total to fund your account. It's less than $200 a month for most people. 100% of your contribution directly funds and reduces the healthcare cost of the community. You're not limited by doctor networks. They succeed by keeping its members happy. They help members shop for great care at a fair price. They make payments to doctors as quickly as possible. And they, Crowd Health, negotiates on the community's behalf when unexpected bills arise, which reverses those incentives that gets the healthcare system into this mess in the first place. Go to joincrowdhealth.com now. Experience freedom health insurance. Right now, your first 6 months, just $99 a month, almost 50% off the normal price, and a lot less than a high deductible healthcare plan. Just go to joincrowdhealth.com/welcome. That's joincrowdhealth.com/welcome. Crowd Health is not health insurance. It's a totally different way of paying for healthcare. Terms and conditions may apply. Let's get back to the show. This has been going on since at the very least 1964, when Nelson Rockefeller, governor of New York, did everything in his power to stop Arizona Senator Barry Goldwater from getting the nomination. And then as soon as Barry Goldwater had the nomination, the entire Republican establishment did whatever they could to make sure he wouldn't win. This also reminds me of New Jersey Governor Christine Todd Whitman, who was elected in 1993, served 2 terms. She's a moderate, but as soon as it was Trump versus Hillary Clinton, she couldn't wait to endorse Hillary Clinton, who, by all accounts, if you're a Republican, I can understand saying stay at home, but to endorse Hillary, who's like should be the complete opposite of republicanism, it's never reciprocated. It's always they're happy to get conservative support, but when it's a conservative on the ballot, they're just running for the hills.
It's somebody they can't control. It's somebody they can't control. We saw it here. The McCain Mafia has been running the show for a generation, and we saw it with Cindy McCain. She endorsed and got behind Joe Biden. Are you kidding me? This guy's like a nursing home patient. I mean, this guy can't run his own family. His family's a mess. His son's a drug addict who's a traitor. The laptop and the phone information coming out of Hunter Biden's world shows that Joe Biden doesn't love America. He loves the CCP. He loves Ukraine. He's made all these deals, and the American people haven't been told about it because the media is so sick. So people are waking up. This is the last election. We cannot lose Arizona. And you're right. This establishment's been trying to stop I don't even want to call it just the conservative movement. It is the pro-America movement. It is exactly the movement our founding fathers, were they to be alive today, would be a part of. And you would have these swamp creatures like Pence and Ducey, and you name them all. They would be going after Paul Revere. They would be going after and attacking Samuel Adams and John Hancock. They would be shooting them down and trying to stop them. And don't ever forget that. This is about saving this country or letting it go down the tubes and turning us into a bunch of slaves to the globalists. And we're not going to let that happen. The moms and dads are awake. And once you've woken up moms in suburban places like we have and like President Trump has, and once you start messing with our babies, you have got a whole new wave of a pounding coming your way. And I'll tell you what, our Moms for Carrie Coalition are so awake. They are so fed up with what's been taught and what's been brainwashed on our children that we are showing up at the polls in such huge numbers, they don't know what the hell is going to hit them.
Yeah, that we saw this happen in 2021. Well, Glenn Youngkin, who's not some kind of big showbiz figure, uh, defeated who should have been by all accounts, it should have been a cakewalk for him. But because they went after the kids, you had all those suburban moms going, I'm voting Republican for governor. I'm voting Republican down ticket. And Youngkin squeaked it out. Are
Got
you
to have America first, though. We got to have America first, because not all Republicans are the same. I'm running against a woman who calls herself a Republican, and I'm going to be dead honest. She is just as dangerous as the socialist who I will be running against in November. And maybe even more dangerous, because she's trying to buy this election using her husband's billions. And she's a wolf in sheep's clothing. She's a Trojan horse, and she's trying to trick people. And she's already tricked thousands of elderly people out of money and tricking them into giving her donations. They don't even know they're donating to her. They think they're donating to build the wall in Texas. And here they are getting, these monthly donations taken out of their bank account. And you'll have to go to my website, karilake.com, or you can go to my Facebook or Twitter to see what I'm talking about. It's one of the most despicable, unethical things I've ever seen in all of politics, is how my opponent is raising money.
I think to some extent you must not be surprised, because what we've seen over the last few years is that you really can't put anything past certain people. When it comes to, look what they did to Brett Kavanaugh is a good example. We are, whether people like it or not, I think, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, in the midst of a cultural war. And one side is absolutely not playing for keeps. And certain members of the other side seem to think, well, if we just sit down and have a discussion, I'm sure we could all work it out.
The days of gentlemanly debate are over. We're in a battle for the life and soul of this country. And we're in the battle for the minds of our children. And so we're not going to have any more, soft-toned discussions. We are going to get out and vote like our lives depend on it, like our children's lives depend on it, and like our country depends on it, the survival of our country. The days for discussing are over. We are going to save this country, and we're going to save our children, and we're going to make sure they get a proper education, not a brainwashing.
One of the questions I was going to ask you, I was preparing, and there was a twist over the weekend, is Arizona has always punched above its weight in terms of national politics. Senator Goldwater, who I mentioned earlier, his 1964 campaign paved the way for Ronald Reagan's 1980 victory. On the other hand, you had John McCain, which represents another wing of the party, and he was of course, 2008 Republican nominee. I was going to ask you if you were more of a Goldwater Republican or a McCain Republican, but then I saw you got into it on social media with Megan. I'll still ask you that question.
No, she got into it with me. I was just busy talking to about 500 people in Tucson, in a liberal town like Tucson, who've come out and they're worried about the direction the country's headed.
Yeah.
And I was just working and talking to them, and we are having a great rally. I get off the stage, I find out that Meghan McCain's calling me the B word, and I'm like, what the heck? Listen, she's irrelevant, and I really don't care to mix it up with her. She's a Biden supporter, and she's turned her back on the hardworking people of Arizona, and I really don't care to mix it up with her. It's sad. I think she's having a meltdown, and she had a meltdown on Twitter, and started deleting some of her crazy tweets. But the issue is, are we going to go back the old way of doing things, the McCain Mafia running the show, or are we going to go the new way of doing things, which is we the people? And the Arizona is done with the old way of doing things, where it was the McCain Mafia and the people of Arizona didn't have a say. And that's what's at stake right now. And the McCains, I'm not trying to criticize Meghan. She can live her life. I want happiness for her. But her father is up for criticism. He was a politician for nearly 40 years. We can talk about his record, the way he did things, and the way he did things, especially toward the end, when he pushed that ridiculous dossier, the dossier that led to Russia, and that BS scandal. He promised the voters of Arizona for a decade that he would get rid of Obamacare. And when he had the chance, and it fell solely on his shoulders, he showed up and gave the thumbs down. He talked for years about building the fence here in Arizona. And when he had a chance to do it, when President Trump was saying, let's do it, he was the biggest, loudest person pushing against President Trump. So we can debate who John McCain is and what he was about. And his family says, you're attacking us. No, we're talking about your father's record. And listen, I'm not a politician. I've just been in politics for about a year. They're attacking me left and right. Okay. He was in politics for 40 years.
Yeah.
He only showed up 6 months every 6 years. He showed up to try to get the vote, and then he abandoned us. And he's fair game to talk about. And the family better get some thick skin and tough skin, because this is where it's going right now. We are going to take the state back and make sure it's in the hands of we the people.
Why do you think Arizona has been trending more purple than it has been, let's say, 10 or 15 years ago?
I don't believe it is purple. I believe we're still a conservative state, but we have voter rolls that are a complete and utter mess. We've got people who don't even live here, people who've died, people who never lived here on the voting rolls, and we've got people who aren't even legal voting. So when you clean up the voting rolls, I think you're going to see that Arizona is a conservative state. And conservative is not a bad thing. Conservative are the ideals that our founding fathers had. They're the ideals that our country was founded on. And I just want the voters of Arizona to know, and they know me, I've been in their homes for 27 years, that the policies I'm putting forward, by the way, the press isn't telling anybody about my policies because they just want to do hit pieces.
Yeah.
But if you go to my website and look at our issues page, you can see what my policies are. And my policies are there to help every Arizonan, Republican, Independent, and Democrat. I've got a policy and a plan to deal with our water situation. Every Arizonan drinks water. I sat there for 27 years watching these politicians talk about our water problem, but they never did anything about it. We're going to do something when I'm governor, and we're going to solve these problems with solutions that are common sense and work. My border policy will protect every Arizonan, whether they're a Democrat, whether they're independent or Republican. Our Democrat families out there, they don't want their children getting their hands on fentanyl and dying of overdoses. Our Democrat families want to have an education that prepares their children for the opportunities that are going to be presented to them. Our Democrat families want to make sure that we have a solution to help tackle the homeless situation, which is exploding here in Arizona. I'm the only candidate with a policy to take on the homeless issue and restore quality of life for the hardworking tax-paying citizens who want to have their streets back. And I'm the only candidate who has a policy to help our police officers and fill our police departments so that we're not understaffed. And when we call 911, whether we're Democrat, Independent, or Republican, we get an officer who shows up in a timely manner to help us out.
Something else that's a very important issue that differs state by state is, you mentioned drugs earlier, drug legalization. Colorado legalized magic mushrooms. I think Oregon legalized or decriminalized, pretty much close to everything. Although, of course, all these drugs are still illegal at the federal level. What would a Governor Lake administration look like regarding legalization or criminalization of various controlled substances?
Well, one of the stupidest things they did in Oregon and probably California, I wouldn't be surprised, is just legalizing public use of drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, you just walk around, and I saw it. I stopped going to San Francisco because of it. We were with our children on a vacation, and we looked over, and there were people literally shooting up heroin, or I'm not sure what, into their arms, broad daylight. We can't have this happening in our states, in our cities. It's going to destroy our cities. It has destroyed San Francisco. I will never be for that kind of law coming in saying, yeah, go ahead, shoot up, use these kind of hardcore drugs. We got to start protecting our children. They're our future, and we need some common sense laws. And that's not common sense. That being said, I'm running as governor. I'm running for governor, not God. I don't get to make all the laws, and we need to make sure we have a legislature that wants to put common sense legislation forward. You know, it takes two here. The legislature represents the people. They make the laws, the governor signs them. I think we're going to have a red wave of common sense Republicans who come in, and we're going to make sure that we have laws on the books that actually help people be the best version of themselves. It helps to have safe streets. It helps to make Arizona an awesome place to live. That's a safe place to live.
You've been endorsed by President Trump. He's going to be rallying with you later this week. You've also, in your career as a journalist, interviewed President Obama when he was in the as president. Can you compare what it was like for you meeting those two men?
I've gotten to know President Trump quite well. I would consider myself a friend now, and he's just an amazing person. I love him. He's a great man, a great father, and he's given up so much for this country. I interviewed President Obama I had like 2 minutes with him. That's all he gave me. And I took a picture with him in the White House. The White House photographer did. My opponent is using that, acting like we were on a prom date. It's quite funny. My opponent is so desperate. She puts out commercials using a photo of me as a journalist interviewing a sitting president, acting like I went to prom with him. And then she's trying to tell people I'm too conservative and tell another group of people I'm too liberal. What is it? I'm going to help the people of Arizona. President Trump is far and away light years above Obama. Obama turned out to be a disappointment. Instead of bringing this country together, healing that racial divide, he made it a bigger gap. And I believe he has shown level of corruption that we've never seen in politics before. We're still getting to the bottom of it. I think as the Durham case moves forward, we're going to find out a lot more about what Obama was up to when President Trump won and came into office, and they spied on President Trump and they tapped his phones and they did all sorts of things that are not just unethical, but that are criminal. And I hope that the truth comes out eventually.
One of the other issues that is very much varied on a state-by-state basis was each governor's approach to COVID lockdowns and quarantining. What did you think of Governor Ducey's approach to the COVID situation, and how would a Governor Lake administration have handled it differently?
Well, I was really happy when we had a guy with some business experience, right, come into office. How great. Everyone says, oh, it'd be great to have somebody with business experience. You know what? Governor Ducey had business experience, and the guy shut our businesses down twice in Arizona. He shut our state down twice. He shut our churches down. He shut our schools down. He introduced cameras into the classroom via Zoom. Thankfully, I guess he woke us up to what they were teaching our kids. Yeah. And he allowed for our beautiful children to have their face masked for years. Unforgivable. What good was his business experience if he shut down all of these small businesses? Many of those businesses never recuperated and recovered from that government shutdown. I thought he handled COVID horribly. He showed during COVID that we didn't have a leader in office. We had a scared manager, a frightened manager. We needed someone to stand up to the liberal mayors, the leftist mayors in Tucson, Flagstaff, and Phoenix who were trying to force the governor to shut businesses down and mask our children. And he needed to stand up to the leftists in the media, and he stood up to neither of them. He cowered and folded. And because of that, people lost their livelihood. They lost their businesses. He helped push the COVID shot on people, forcing them to lose their job or get a shot they weren't comfortable with that wasn't proven to even be effective. I don't think he handled COVID well at all. I think that's where we were exposed to his weakness. And we need a leader. We need a fighter and somebody who's strong to protect Arizona right now. We're in tough times, and we can't get somebody like my opponent who won't even show up to debate me. She skipped the Arizona GOP debate because she's afraid of me. Can you imagine having a weakling like that who's a coward, who is going to have to face the cartels? We got to have some strength in our office right now, in our governor's office. And we didn't get it with Governor Ducey, and we're not going to get it with this woman who he is endorsing. We need someone who's going to fight for Arizona every day and stand up and protect our families and our businesses and our state.
Hey guys, underwear model and official alpha male hunk, Michael Malice here, and I want to talk to you about Sheath Underwear, which is the underwear I wear every single day without fail, even somehow when I'm going commando. What makes Sheath Underwear so great? Well, let me tell you. They've got this dual pouch system, which has one pouch for one part of your male anatomy, another part for another part of your male anatomy, and you put it on the first time, and you're like, this is kind of weird to have my underwear gripping me down there. But I'm going to tell you, it is the most comfortable underwear you're ever going to wear. It's great when it's hot outside. It's great when there's no sticking, no chafing. It keeps you nice and tight. These boxer briefs are the best. They've got some new additions. They got a mesh one. They got a bamboo one. And they have the limited edition Michael Malice Dynamite pair, which you're definitely going to want to wear. All you got to do is go to sheathunderwear.com and use promo code Malice. And you get 20% off, and you can get inside my pants, and you get one step closer to going higher on that alpha male hierarchy, which all my listeners like. Now, they also have a line for women, but since women don't listen to this show, that is of no relevance. All you got to do is go to sheathunderwear.com and use promo code Malice to get 20% off. Support the underwear that supports you and supports the show. Hey guys, you ever feel like you're being followed around the internet and maybe advertisers know a bit too much about you? Well, our sponsor, Ipvanish is here to help you take back your privacy and help you become anonymous on the internet. What is it? Ipvanish is a virtual private network, a VPN for short. It's a tool that helps you safely browse the internet. You can use a VPN on your computer, tablet, phone, things like your Fire Stick when you stream media. When you use a VPN, all your data is encrypted. What you're reading, what you're searching, what you're watching, whatever you're doing. And that's important because what you're doing is no one's business but yours. For listeners of the show, Ipvanish is offering 65% off their annual plan. It's only $375 a month. Ipvanish is super easy to use. You turn it on with one click. It runs in the background, helping to protect you while you're browsing the web. You run into a problem, no problem. Ipvanish has 24/7 support by email, chat, and phone. Go to ipvanish.com/malice and use promo code malice. That's MALICE to claim your 65% off savings. Their annual plan is just $44.99 for the first year with our exclusive discount. This is the time to sign up. With our discount, their current promotion, you get a VPN for 65% off the usual offering. And Ipvanish is the best of best. They've got a 4.7 out of 5 on Trustpilot with over 6,000 reviews. Remember, it's ipvanish.com/malice to get the deal and start protecting yourself online. Let's get back to the show. President Biden is rolling out the idea of having vaccines for children as young, I think, as 6 months, even though, at that young age, you're not showing any symptoms of COVID and you're not having it be a life-threatening situation. Are you in favor of having mandating COVID vaccines for children?
Absolutely not. They don't need it. We're finding out now that people who have the vaccines are actually the ones who are coming down with COVID. And we're seeing deaths rise. Yeah. And in people who've taken the shot. So I am absolutely not for it. And I'll tell you, my Rhino opponent, when Ducey appointed her to the Board of Regents, which is the governing board that oversees our universities here in Arizona, when she had a chance to vote to get our children, our students, out of these filthy masks that don't work and to prevent them from having to get a forced vaccine when they're young and they don't need one, she sat the vote out because she's a coward. She sat that vote out and did not save our kids from having to wear those masks in 115-degree heat. And I think that's a move that disqualifies her. At that same meeting, she did vote to push a CRT type of training on all of our college kids and faculty. So she's absolutely what's wrong about everything we're dealing with. And we need somebody who actually knows right from wrong in the governor's office.
Can you explain to people who aren't familiar, because this issue maybe isn't getting much coverage as it could, what CRT is and why you think it's a problem to be putting it forward in corporations and in our universities?
Well, it's teaching our students. I think it's teaching kind of a victim mentality. It's teaching our students that there's the oppressor and the oppressed. It's teaching our students to look at another student, a white student. It's teaching our Black students, our kids of color, to look at white students as the oppressor, to look at our country as a racist place when it's not. And I think it's actually setting up our students of color to think poorly of themselves. And I think it hurts their self-esteem. God created us all equal. We are in the country that is the greatest country on the planet to live, no matter what color your skin is. The thing that binds us all together doesn't matter what your religious background is, doesn't matter what your skin color is, where you came from. If you're a new immigrant and you just became a citizen 2 weeks ago, or you're a family that's been here since, if you're a Native American family, you've been here since the very beginning. The thing that binds us together is our love for our country and our patriotism. And they're trying to destroy that and divide us into different subgroups so that we're constantly at battle with one another. I want to bring us together as Americans. And the thing that we come together on is our love for this country, that we are such a unique country where we can all come together despite our differences, and we can achieve great things. And CRT does just the opposite of that. It does just the opposite.
Maya Flores was just elected to Congress from Southern Texas. The district had been held by Democrats since, I believe, 1870 or 1890, something like that. She was born in Mexico. She's an American citizen, obviously. Article after article is demonstrating that increasing numbers of Hispanic are now voting Republican, which, according to CRT logic, shouldn't really be happening. It should be this kind of intersectionality, and the only people voting Republican, according to their logic, should be white men. Are you surprised to see how much the Republican message is catching on with Hispanic communities?
Not at all. I mean, and I credit President Trump for that. He woke up a lot of people to the lies of the Democrat Party. And you don't have to go far. Let me tell you, here in Arizona, we take a little short day trip over to California, and we see the hellscape that Democrat policies have created. California used to be heaven, and now it's a hellscape. Democrat policies are bad for the family. You know, the policies are bad for our health, bad for our families, bad for our safety, bad for our businesses. Latinos are some of the hardest working people we have in this country. They believe in the American dream. They're entrepreneurial. They love their family. They don't want their children going off and being told at school that boys can be girls and girls can be boys and you can pick your gender. And, they don't want them being told that America is a racist place. They want them to get a quality education so that their children can graduate from high school ready for a job in the real world or ready for college. And so it doesn't surprise me at all. The left has been trying to take God out of our society and out of our communities for a long time. And the Latino people are people of great faith, and they have a great relationship with God. And they're not going to let this political ideology that is just rotten take over and destroy what they've worked so hard to achieve.
In addition to your race, there's a senatorial race this year in Arizona. Blake Masters, whose message in many ways dovetails with your own, is currently the front runner in that race. Have you made an endorsement in the senatorial race, or are you more focusing on yours?
I'm really focusing on the statewide race. I mean, the people will decide. We have some America First candidates there, and I'm really excited that there's a choice. The only race that there is no choice except one, where there's only one America First candidate, is my race. And the voters have to get this right, or we will lose our state. And frankly, we'll lose the country. If we get an open borders globalist running the show here, we will lose the entire country. We can't afford to lose another border state. So I'm really focused on my race. I'm focused on this year, this election right now. We've got ballots sitting on people's countertops right now. And I should tell you, I'm not even signed up to get early ballots, but our election system is so messed up. Even though I double checked 4 times to make sure I wasn't on the early ballot list, I ended up getting an early ballot in my mailbox. So it's a mess. But anyway, right now, people have ballots either on their kitchen counter or they're going to go vote August 2nd, because in Arizona, we have voting month rather than election day. And so I'm encouraging everyone to get out there and vote America First all the way up and down that ticket, and make sure that we protect what we love so much, which is this great Wild West state that is so unique and so beautiful, from becoming another California or worse.
The Democrats have a 50-50 split in the Senate. Obviously, Vice President Kamala Harris is the tiebreaker. Senator Joe Manchin from West Virginia and Arizona's own Kristen Sinema were basically the 2 Democrats who have been bucking the rest of their party, specifically with regards to abolishing the filibuster and not allowing Build Back Better to pass at the federal level. Are you a supporter of Kristen Sinema and what she's been doing in the Senate?
I've known Kirsten Sinema for a long time. I've known her since she was in state politics, and I get along with everyone. I disagree with her policies. I disagree with almost all of her policies. She's pretty liberal, but what I do respect about Kirsten is that she showed strength. We need people who are going to show strength. We're in really, really perilous times right now, and I think people respect a leader, even if you don't necessarily agree with them, who shows strength. We don't have enough people who are courageous and brave right now that are in leadership positions. And so when you see one who says, no, I'm not going to do that, even though I'm getting pressured, I'm being attacked in the media, this is what's happening to me, they're coming after you. And when you stand up and say, no, I don't care what you say about me, I don't care the names you call me, I'm going to stand here and be strong right here, right now, I think you gain a lot of respect.
You've been a journalist for many years. For those of people who are on the other side of the camera, can you give them a better understanding of how the media works in order to manipulate politics and people's outcomes?
Well, sadly, the media's been bought up by just a few corporations, and those corporations are all globalist corporations, and they don't want America anymore. They don't like the idea of America. They don't like our freedoms. And that's why they are pushing propaganda, pure and simple. I urge everyone to turn off the mainstream media. Just completely turn it off. They're lying. What they're omitting, what they're not putting
Yeah.
in, is just as big sometimes as what they are putting in. And they're doing this right now. It's interesting. I noticed today I was on an interview earlier with that Fox News was putting out a bunch of interviews they did allegedly from Arizona, where they're trying to say, wow, everyone is ready for a change. And while they voted for Trump, they're saying that people are saying they're ready for a change. Well, of course, you can probably find 3 people who would say that, 3 or 4. If you put all those 3 or 4 people together and you don't cover the dozens upon dozens of people that you could talk to who can't wait to get President Trump back in the White House, then you're going to slant the piece. And they did that. They took 3 or 4 people who said they're ready for a change and they put them in the story, but they didn't put the majority of people who love President Trump and love his policies. So creative editing, it's a bias, and it's disgusting, and they're trying to destroy this country. And so I just encourage people to turn it off, because 95% of the people that are in media right now, in the corporate media, are either leftist or globalist, but they're definitely not America first.
One of the things they've been hitting you with constantly is, and I want to hear your answer, without interruption, was you saying that you wouldn't have certified the election results in Arizona in 2020. Do I have that correct? And can you explain why you said that?
Yeah, I mean, of course not. We had already some evidence of not just irregularities, improbabilities, impossibilities that we were seeing. We had people who had signed affidavits alleging serious criminal activity. And for them to, while all this is going on, just turn around and go, we're not going to see that. That's not really happening. And sign off on an election where there were so many issues. I thought it was incredibly irresponsible. It has led to what we have now, which is a complete, almost chaos with the situation. They should have paused and said, we are not going to certify this right now. We need to look into some of these problems. We have enough citizens calling for us to look into this, and slowed it down and looked into it, rather than quickly signing it and thinking it's all going to go away. Very irresponsible.
It was fascinating because it was basically a week after the election, and we were told that this is the most legitimate election in U.S. history, which maybe that's true, but you wouldn't know that within a week. You can't just look at a house from the outside and say, well, everything's fine on the inside. You actually have to go through it and then kind of look things over. And it seemed amazing. And I'm thinking specifically of the Georgia gubernatorial race right now, where 4 years ago, Stacey Abrams was insisting the election had been stolen from her. Hillary Clinton had a list of, I think, 50 reasons why Donald Trump was a legitimate president. And then in 2020, if you were going to question any of the election results, that would have been enough to get you kicked off of social media. Were you concerned that making statements like this would have had consequences for your campaign?
What do you mean, making statements like what
getting kicked off of Twitter, getting kicked off of Facebook? They're pretty liberal in terms of, if a politician is saying something that they find objectionable, to shut them up and just making them vanish.
Well, I should take this opportunity to let people know I have an app. Go to Kari Lake, go to the App Store, because they might. They're so worried about putting America first. They're so worried about a candidate like me, who I can't be bought. I can't be controlled by them. I am only working for the people of Arizona, and I just want to save this state. I can't control what Joe Biden does. He's a nightmare, but we can save Arizona. We have states' rights, and we're gonna make sure that we use those states' rights. We're sovereign. We're not serfs of the federal government. They're scared to death of me because I'm not part of the machine where they control me. And they're capable. They'll try anything to stop me, literally anything. I mean, I'm in this not because it's fun. It's a nightmare to get into the swamp, the political swamp. They're following my children. They're coming after me. I've had threats over the phone. I've had threats in real life. It's not comfortable, but damn it, we're on the verge of losing this country if we don't all step forward and make some tough decisions, if we don't step away from corruption, and that might mean you have to walk away from your salary like I did, walk into the great unknown, because what good is that salary? What good is that retirement? What good is all of that? The material things, if we don't have a country where we're free to enjoy those things. So I encourage every American to step forward now, resist the lies that the rhinos are trying to tell you, resist the lies of the Democrat Party, and let's come together as Americans with policies that are common sense and help everyone. They want us at each other's throats. I really, truly want to bring Arizona together. I love the people of this state. They have been done wrong by our current leadership, our lack of leadership with our governor. Their businesses have been destroyed by his decision to shut them down. Our children's lives have been hurt terribly by his choices to shut our schools down and mask our children. We need to come together, and we need to come together fast because they want us divided. And my policies will bring people together. I encourage Arizonans not to believe the BS that the news is spewing out there, the hit pieces they're running on me. If they're attacking somebody left and right, then you know that person is right over the target and doing the right thing. And we need to come together, and I'm the candidate who can do that. I truly am. I'm the only candidate who can bring us together.
Folks, I want to talk to you about one of our sponsors that I'm extremely excited about and have used, and that's AmmoSeek. AmmoSeek.com is a comparison shopping search engine for in-stock ammunition, guns, mags, reloading supplies. The results take you to the product page of the seller's website where you can easily make your purchase. Search results are updated in near real time, 24/7. You can filter them according to what you care about: cost per round, caliber, grain weight, manufacturer, all that stuff. You can even save searches, set price alerts to be notified when your favorite product shows up at the price you want. And AmmoSeek.com is totally free to use, and I've used it now that I've chosen to exercise my 2A rights as a Texan. Strongly recommended. AmmoSeek.com. Let's get back to the show. What has most surprised you in all these weeks and months that you've been campaigning? What have you learned on the campaign trail?
Well, I think what's amazing is the strength of the people of this state, the desire to make sure that we remain free here in Arizona and save this country, the love for country here in Arizona, and just the people from all walks of life who are America first. If you listen to the media, you'd think that nobody liked President Trump. Everyone loves President Trump. I don't care where you come from, what your background, if you're Latino, if you're Black, if you're white, if you're Asian, they love that he put America first, and they love our campaign because we're putting Arizona first. My only special interest are the people of Arizona. And while I have lost a few friends along the way, maybe some people in media who, it's sad, I was in their wedding, I was there for the birth of their children, but they just have Trump derangement syndrome and can't stand that I'm the front runner for governor, and we're doing quite well in all the polls, and we're going to win this unless they cheat. We have a movement here, and it's so special to see all these people come up, children coming out, young people coming out supporting our campaign. They've been tortured the last few years. They lost a lot of their fun young years, and they know who to support in this campaign. So I'm encouraged by the great people I've met along the way, and we're going to do big things for Arizona and make it truly the greatest state in the country.
How did you deal with, losing friends over your political views, people you've been close to? That seems like it must have been very difficult.
To be honest, I haven't really noticed because I'm so busy. I'm so busy every day. We wake up 4 or 5 in the morning and we go till midnight. We're working hard, crisscrossing the state. We've been doing that since day one. My opponent, my rhino opponent, announced she was running and then promptly took a 3 or 4 week yacht trip. Meantime, we've been crisscrossing the state talking to people. So I've just heard through the grapevine, some people may be mad at me, but I haven't really noticed because I'm too busy working hard to earn the endorsement and vote of the people of Arizona and put forth great policy that will help this state.
I'm going to ask a question that mirrors what President Reagan was asked in 1984. You've never held elected office. How confident are you that you'd be ready to be governor on day one?
I love that you're asking that, and that President Reagan was asked that question. I like to do the tale of 2 governors. One is our current governor, Ducey, came in with business experience, came in experienced with all that experience. Where did it get us when he shut our state down twice and he shut our businesses down, masked our children, hurt their health, and really caused us to fall into the depths of despair during his terrible decision-making during COVID. Then we had Ronald Reagan, who they said was a former Democrat activist. He just reads scripts. What does he know? Yeah. Well, he knew right from wrong, and he was a leader, and he was strong. And he brought people together, and he assembled an amazing team of people to help assemble an administration and save California from really almost the depths of despair. I understand Arizona better than anybody running. I've covered it as a fair journalist for 27 years. For 27 years, I covered the state. I understand the issues better than anyone. Every day, it was my job to go to work, wrap my arms around the biggest issues facing this state. I have a relationship with the people of Arizona that goes beyond name ID. It goes way beyond name ID. It was a relationship where I was invited into their homes for 27 years. And I'm able to communicate what's going on in this world and what's going on in our state. We're at a battle right now of the people who control the information. Those people who control the information control the people, and they're not being honest with that information. So we need an honest broker, a straight shooter, and a communicator to usher us and lead us through this dark moment in our history. And we have very bright days ahead. I want the people of Arizona to know that. We're going to lead and make decisions that are best for the people of Arizona and not some political elite. It's the so-called experienced people who got us into this mess, and it's going to take some outsiders who have love of country and love of this state to get us out.
So before we head out, how can people support your campaign and learn more about your issues?
Thank you so much. You can go to my website, karilake.com, KARILAKE.com. You can see where I stand on all the issues, and I lay it out. You know, my opponent's website is a joke. You can't even tell where she stands on issues. Her border policy is a creation of talking points from her high-priced McCain consultants. My border policy is there. It is the boldest, most aggressive border policy. Tom Homan, the former director of ICE, supports it wholeheartedly. And Brandon Judd, the president of the National Border Patrol Council, endorses my policy as one of the toughest policies he's ever seen. It is a policy that will work and will secure our border. You can see my homeless policy, where we restore quality of life in Arizona. You can see my education policy, and you can see where I stand on every single issue in detail. I want your vote, Arizona. I don't care if you're a Democrat. I don't care if you're independent or Republican. We're going to come together and have solutions for the problems that we've been battling for a long time, and they will be solutions that put Arizona first.
We're running out of time. What has been your favorite part of this interview?
Oh, boy. I don't know, just getting to know you and see you and really covering a wide range of issues, and that you asked about the issues and you asked about my policy. So many people in journalism are more interested in doing gotcha hit pieces because they have picked the horse in the race, and they picked the wrong one, let me tell you. And so they're not interested in covering our policy. The thing I'm most excited about are our America First, Arizona First policies, reshoring American companies to Arizona, getting them out of China, bringing manufacturing back to Arizona, bringing the space industry to Arizona. We should be doing that. We're perfectly poised for that. So we have great policies, and I'm just thrilled that you asked about them. Thank you.
You are welcome.
Welcome to The Inevitable. This is Motor Trend's new podcast about the future of the automobile. I am Johnny Lieberman, the senior features editor at Motor Trend, and I am joined every week by my co-host, Mr. Ed Lowe.
That's me. I'm the head of editorial for Motor Trend, and boy, do we have an amazing list of guests that we're going to be chatting with.
We've got the godfather of the environmental movement, Ed Begley Jr.,
Derek Jenkins, a whole bunch of actors, celebrities, car-crazy folks, people from in and outside the industry. Can't wait for you to join us.
We're talking about the future of the car. This means everything from electrified vehicles to cars that drive themselves.
Come check us out. We're on podcast1.com or anywhere else you find your favorite podcast. We're also on motortrend.com and youtube.com/motortrend.
All this month, stream the funniest films for free on Pluto TV. Watch comedy classics like Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy, and Mean Girls. Or drop in for a Tyler Perry marathon with a Medea family funeral and Medea's witness protection. Pluto TV also has hundreds of channels and thousands of movies and TV shows like Get Shorty, Be Cool, Key and Peele, Comedy in Color, and more. And no contracts, no subscriptions, no fees, no joke. So download the Pluto TV app on your favorite streaming device and start laughing today. Pluto TV, drop in, watch free.